already have Tabular Editor installed, you can go ahead and do so at this link. So the follow along, download and install Tabular Editor. If you hold Control and press click, just a pro tip, it'll open up in a new tab. Then here on the right-hand side, we see some release notes. I'm not worried about that. I'm more worried about this asset section. So you've got two different packages you can download and install, just the Microsoft MSI installer. It's clean, it's easy. Go ahead and use that one if you'd like. If you're having any issues and you're not able to use that, you can go ahead and download just the portable.zip. So go ahead and get that downloaded, get that installed if you do not have it just as of yet. And then for the follow along, we're going to use this download and open the sales demo PBIX file. So
yep, so it looks like Alex, you're muted as well, so I'll mute everyone. Feel free to come back off mute.
Awesome, there we go.
Okay.
Hopefully I ended all of that. I didn't just talk to myself for 2 minutes.
I think we lost you for about 5 seconds or so.
Oh, excellent. Thanks, Deepo. So just download Tabular Editor, and then for the Power BI desktop, you need at least the July version. So if you do not have the July, go ahead and download that. I know August just hit, so you'll be fine if you're kind of up to date, but at least the July is for external tools. Awesome. So I'll give you a few seconds to kind of do that. Talk about the release wave, just the things that I'm excited about. If you've not used this report kind of in the past, I'll go ahead and drop this here in the chat for you as well. It is aka.ms/Pbi Release Wave. I feel bad. We just throw so much content at you guys all the time, just so many new features. How do you keep up to date? Just when is it landing? I never want you to come to me and say, man, I wish I would have known about that 6 months ago. Come out here maybe once a week. Just if you're having internal teams, do it on kind of a month by month basis. So we're in August now. What's landing? Obviously, deployment pipelines coming into general availability. So that'll be pretty cool. Obviously, connect Power BI datasets directly in Excel. That's going to be huge. So coming into public preview. September is the last month for the current Wave 1 semester. So that's basically the last day to turn in your homework. So that's why you kind of see that just massive large here. But Wave 2 now takes us through to March 2021. So like I said, just take it 1 month at a time, kind of within your internal teams. November is kind of the huge one that everyone is most excited about, just composite models over Power BI data sets. If I was to click into that here, you can now have kind of this centralized model. You can attach maybe localized files, whether it be Excel, kind of another Power BI data set. Just possibilities are endless. So just come out here, look at the release wave, kind of get caught up to date. Awesome. So hopefully I've stalled enough there for you just to download the files, get them installed. And then let me go and introduce myself here, if you don't mind. All right. So my name is Alex Powers, and I'm an intelligence technical specialist. So just up here, kind of depots. And I'm actually located in the St. Louis, Missouri area. So originally an Illinois boy, kind of family still lives up in the Cedar Rapids area now, and then just Guttenberg, Ragbri. I know everything about Iowa. You know, is this heaven? No, it's Iowa. Professional background, just MCSC in data management and analytics, MCSA, BI reporting. So I love talking about Power BI, Excel, just artificial intelligence, kind of all the different integrations here. But just to let you know that I'm not a robot, I'm an actual real person, just actual personal interests. So cats rule, dogs drool. Andre the Giant should have went over Hulk Hogan here in terms of professional wrestling, and then obviously just data. So those are my kind of my personal interests there. Then I always know that this is a polarizing topic. I don't know where you stand, but maybe you can let me know in the chat. I do enjoy pineapple on my pizza. If you're throwing things at your monitor now, I'm sorry. It's just who I am. That's what I enjoy. So let us know, though, in the chat that you're out there. Give us a thumbs up, thumbs down. Maybe you're kind of throwing the puke emoji. Awesome. So let me jump out of that. And by now, hopefully you've got all of the files downloaded. For those that are jumping in now, let me drop this link one more time, just so you can get caught up. So out on the GitHub, we're going to have this follow along. And let me drop it here one more time here for us because I felt like we were still getting everyone. Hawaiian pizza rocks. I would agree. Got a lot of good people in the audience today. All right, so if you're joining us now just a little bit late, I would ask that you come out to the page, download and install Tabular Editor. It's over here on the right-hand side. Scroll down to Assets. You can choose the MSI or the zip package, whichever one you prefer. And then obviously Power BI, just needing to be on the July, at minimum July desktop. Cool. So with today, we'll go over obviously just different sections here, just hands on the keyboard, kind of all working together. I want to make sure that I speak to everyone here within the audience. So maybe you're a kinesthetic learner, you need to put your hands on the keyboard. Maybe you're more perceptive, you need to see something, and then maybe it's just more kind of auditorial, so you need to actually hear something. So we're going to hit all three kind of different learning methods today. But if there's something that you feel like we're going too fast on, or maybe we've kind of glossed over, there are optional guided videos. So if you click on this, this will just take you out to a personal YouTube page. You can watch them at your own leisure, watch them at your own time. You know, maybe when we get done today, you just want to rewatch it, redo it again, you're fine to do so. All right, so let's start. I'm going to go ahead and snap this to the left. We're going to snap Power BI to the right. And the first thing I notice is this external tools that you keep telling me about and why it's so great. So on our home tab, we're going to go now to the help. And then if you notice, we have an external tools button. So if I was to click on this now, this will take us out to just Microsoft Docs. This is just letting us know some of the key ones that we're kind of spotlighting here. So Tabular Editor, DAX Studio, and then obviously ALM Toolkit. So that's Application Lifecycle Management Toolkit. Tabular Editor is digitally signed. So if you're still just thinking about how can we get this into our environments, you know, especially corporation, digitally signed, trusted. So if that's just a technology you're trying to get into the doors, use that kind of just you know, as a talking point for why your IT should have this tool. Why it's so great. Just Tabular Editor is digitally signed and trusted. All right, so let me jump back over here now. I'm talking about Tabular Editor. I'm talking about these external tools. I now click over to my external tools ribbon. I try and click on Tabular Editor. I notice that it's grayed out. So I'm clicking, nothing's happening. The first thing I'll need to do is I'll need to go to my file. I'll go to my options and settings, and then I'll go to options. And from here, from our preview, we will notice we will need to enhance, or I'm sorry, we'll need to enable this feature. Just waiting for it to pop up. There we go. So preview features, store data sets using enhanced metadata format. So if you do not have this feature enabled, you can go ahead and do so now. If at the end of today's session you want to go ahead and turn it back off, you are fine to do so. Just let it be known the enhanced metadata format is going to be the only format kind of moving forward whenever that goes into general availability. I know at least in terms of that release wave, that thing I kept talking to you about, it is targeted for September in terms of the XMLA endpoint general availability. So we should expect to see this just going into general availability hopefully next month. So let me go and press OK now. I've enabled this. It's asking me to restart my application. Yes, I'm fine to do so. So I'll go ahead and close this now. File, just let's do close, just X. And then I'm going to go ahead and start this again. So let me open back up Power BI Desktop, try it one more time. And we'll see. Wish me luck. We'll see if it pops up here for us. Cool. So if I click over to external tools now, if I click out of my bubble, external tools. Oh, awesome. I now see if I hover above them, they're nice and black here. I can click on them now. I can interact with the external tools. So the first requirement is going to be that enhanced metadata format. So I'm going to select Tabular Editor now. So go ahead and launch Tabular Editor here for me. Got it down here. Just give me a nice little prompt. Editing a Power BI desktop model that does not use the enhanced metadata format is not allowed. Awesome. Well, we already did that, so we're good there. I'm gonna go ahead and press OK because I agree with that. And I'm gonna do a little bit of setup here within Tabular Editor. So I'm gonna go up to my file. I'm gonna go over to Preferences. And I've got these two different options here within my features. So I've got Allow Unsupported Power BI features, so experimental. Checking this will allow you to edit all TOM objects and properties. All right, so maybe that's something we want to look into. So just what is the TOM objects? Then also detect changes on local AS instance. So checking this will automatically update the tabular object model above here, just loaded in Tabular Editor. All right, so I'm gonna try both of these. So let's click on that one, and then I'm also going to select detect changes and press OK. Cool. That should take care of us here just in terms of initial setup. I'm going to actually close on this now. Just hit X, and I'm going to connect out to that sales demo file that we were just using. So sales demo. If you've not already downloaded it, please do so. We're just going to be using it here for the follow along. And then I'm going to try this again now. So I've enabled these features. I've got my Power BI desktop. It's that new enhanced metadata format. I'm going to go to external tools, press Tabular Editor. Yes, that's fine. I can see here on my left-hand side, I've got this model. I've got these tables. If I just expand this, I've got orders. I've got calendar. Very cool. Awesome. So let me go ahead and move this now, and we'll kind of take a look at this TOM, so this tabular object model hierarchy. So the TOM exposes native tabular metadata such as the model, the tables, columns, and relationship objects, just at a high level of the object model. So looking here, I can see my database. I can see the model, the data sources. So obviously the get data process, our Power Query, the tables. So the different elements within our tables like columns, our measures, hierarchies, obviously relationships just between different tables, and maybe like roles. So thinking like row level security. So these are just all of the elements that kind of make up my model here. And then I'm going to do one thing here just on my own. So I'm going to click on this and download. Just real quick, I want to get a clean file, just so I am following along. All right. Cool. Downloads. Cool. Sales demo. Get this number 3 going. So on the left-hand side here, we're now going to move into just the instructions. Our objective is to extract the underlying metadata from the model. So I'm going to get this Power BI file open here again. Press X on this other one. Just give me a nice clean sales demo. Go to Tabular Editor. We're going to create just a folder here now on your local machine. You can do it in your downloads, your documents, your desktop, wherever you'd like to go ahead and do so. So I'm going to do that now, just here in my downloads folder. Just create a new folder here. I'm just going to call it sales demo. Awesome. And then within Tabular Editor, we go up to File. We're going to do Save to Folder. And within my downloads folder, I'm just going to go to that sales demo that we selected, just the parent folder. I'm going to select that folder now. Awesome. So if I go to downloads, sales demo, I can see those tables that I was talking about, the roles, the relationships, all those different things that I was talking about within the tabular object model. So if I was to click in here, tables, I can now see here my calendar, my orders. So just all of the underlying metadata. This is not the actual data from your model. It is the underlying metadata that makes up your tabular object model structure. Awesome. So let me try one other thing here then. So I'm going to go back to File, and I'm going to do Save As. Just going to go to this sales demo folder here again, and this file name, this model.bim. This is probably one of the most important files that you should learn about just here as it relates to kind of Power BI and just the overall analysis services. So I'm going to do Save. I'm going to go look at this file here. go back to my sales demo. I'm just going to open this up here in just any text editor. So I'm going to use just VS Code. Awesome. So my model.bim file. Let's zoom in here now. So you can see the compatibility level. I can see those tables. So those tables that I was just talking about within my TOM. So my tabular object model. I can see here my orders table is the name. So maybe let's try something else here. So we were also talking about relationships, right? Relationships, if I can spell. Here's the relationship between my orders table to my customers, maybe roles. Let me go back one. There we go. Row level security here. So I've got a row level security named Florida sales rep, where it's just looking for the state or province is equal to Florida. All right, so I'm gonna step back here, just speaking conceptually now. So Power BI, just the whole thing that drives the underlying model is just this JavaScript object notation. So this JSON body. All right, so that's pretty interesting then. So this entire TOM model structure, it's all driven by this JSON. And then obviously I could come out here and if I wanted to, I could maybe build this by hand, just copying and pasting and creating a whole new table. But that seems like a lot of work. So what Tabular Editor does, it allows me as a graphical user interface to go ahead and read from this JSON, this model.bim file, where I can now read from and maybe even write to. All right, so that's pretty interesting. So let me pause there. I'll give you a little bit of just a disclaimer. At some point, you're going to say, Alex, I feel like you dropped me into the middle of the ocean. I don't know where we're going. I don't know how to get back to shore. I need you to trust me. I'm just going to continue to build upon this just over kind of the next 45 minutes. Right now, you could be like, I don't even know where I'm at. That's fine. I just want you to know what is possible. So the tabular object model, just reading from and writing to. Tabular Editor is a fantastic tool that lets you write to this underlying model.bim. So let me pause there. Deepo, is there any questions we have from the chat? Do we need to kind of roll back a little bit, or are we good?
All right, so I haven't had anyone say they're not following, but there have been a lot of comments.
Yep.
Let's see here. There's a question about, is this for pro users or for premium as well? I was going. All right, there you go.
Yep.
Pro users.
Yep.
All right. As another question, and maybe this is not a question, more of a comment. No documentation for Power BI model. Barry, if you want to come off mute and sort of highlight what you're referring to there, I believe you're kind of talking about another external tool, but you can clarify.
Oh yeah, I was just surprised that the model documenter wasn't on Alex's list of toolbars that he'd already installed from Mark Data.
Oh, which one? Which one do you think about, Barry?
Yeah, the model documentation external tool that from DataMark website.
Oh yeah, yeah. I just did a clean install, so that could be why I just don't have it right now. And PowerBI.tips just released a pretty awesome tool yesterday too. I don't know if you'd seen that over on Twitter, but they've got about 32 different external tools that you can outsource.
Yep. That was awesome, by the way.
This morning.
Yeah.
Yep. We're not going to have enough space, so just be careful what you wish for.
I know.
All right. There's another question. I'm assuming I'm assuming that means ALM Toolkit is finally available to sort of do merges between two PBX files.
You got it. Yep. Thumbs up.
Basically, if you can do it in ALM Toolkit, you can do it in Power BI.
Yep. Yep. So all these tools now allow us to just read and write to this kind of this underlying enhanced metadata file format. So that's why I'm so excited for it. I just ran and I enabled it. But obviously you can do local deployments. If you do have like Power BI Premium, you have the XML endpoint. You can also merge those from like local development up into the service, which is just kind of do metadata kind of deployments there. Awesome. Well, then it sounds like we're good here, at least in terms of the TOM. So I'm going to move on just to our best practice analyzer. So if you're following along, we're now just scrolling down to the best practice analyzer. I just want to talk about this model, Alex. It's just all over the board. It's unusable. I don't even know about it. What are you talking about? The tables look great. I see the spaces in the names, extremely readable. Everything is great about this model. I don't know. I had my experts look at it. They just provided a lot of feedback. What experts? I literally just opened this file like 2 minutes ago. We have this rich history of analysis services. So 20-year history. We've taken all of the experts and we compiled their knowledge now into the best practices that you should be applying to your model. So our objective now is to import those best practices and go ahead and start reviewing our model. So within this, we're going to navigate to this repository where all of this knowledge is just kind of kept. If you'd like, obviously, you can also contribute. So if you want to come up with your own custom, and you can submit them over here just to the GitHub page. But for right now, we're going to navigate to the BPA rules standard.json. And I see some of these rules. I don't want to copy this page. I actually want to get the raw output of this page. So here on GitHub, I'm going to click on raw. I now see just a raw JSON output. I'm going to go now up to the formula bar, just copy this address. Obviously, if you're just cheating at home, you can go and copy this link, but I just wanted you to see that actually hitting the raw button was an important step here. So within Tabular Editor, I'm going to go to my tools. I see this best practice analyzer. Now, oh, actually, let me close out of this one. I'm going to go to the manage BPA rules. So tools, manage BPA rules. I'm going to add, how do you want to proceed? I want to include a rule file from the, just the URL, so from the internet. So press OK. I'm going to paste in that JSON that we were just talking about, this best practices. I can press OK here now. If I was to click on this, I can see all these different rules that are now added. Press OK here once again, just within my best practice rules. And then maybe let's go ahead and evaluate. So here, I'm going to press on tools. If you'd like, you can press F10 to just go ahead and hotkey it. But I'm going to do tools, best practice analyzer, and now have this new window popping up. So that rich 20-year history of analysis services, all these experts combining their knowledge, they were able to find 169 object violations here within my model.
Hey, Alex, if you want to put the link to the URL in the chat window.
Oh, I don't. It's already here, Deepo. They got it. Right there. I got you taken care of. So if you're maybe falling a little bit behind, we're just on step number 2 here within kind of the follow along. So best practice analyzer. At the window, I can see a lot of these different rules. So I'm actually just collapsed some of these. So here at the very top, collapse all. Hide foreign key columns. I can see this do not use floating point data types. Translate hierarchy levels. Man, there's just a lot. So I actually want to maybe look at this one. Hide foreign key columns. If I do expand, maybe hover above this. Columns used on the many-sided relationship should be hidden, as related dimension table is likely the best place to apply filters. I would agree. So I'm going to click on this generate fixed script icon here now. Fixed script, copy to clipboard. Now here within Tabular Editor, zoom back in, advanced scripting. If we click on this tab now here on the right-hand side in the top right, I'm going to paste this in. And let me go ahead and make this a little bit bigger here for us, just so we can read it all. So model.tables orders.columns customer ID as data column is hidden equals true. So the next one down is hidden equals true. All right, so it's applying this scripting here now. So what does this look like? So I'm going to go ahead and just snap this to the right-hand side, and then on the left, go ahead and bring it over our PBIX file. So thinking about this orders table here now, go ahead and zoom in here for us. If I was to expand on this, I can see the orders. Let me go and run this. this green button, or if you're in a hotkeys, press F5. And then if we notice on the just the left-hand side here now, if I look at like customer ID or maybe that salesperson ID, press green. And I need to go ahead and now save the changes to the connected database. So Control S. Awesome. So it instantly hid these for me. Just I can see those now grayed out if I was to. You just go ahead and right click and just deselect the view hidden. It went ahead and applied kind of all 9 of these all at once through scripting. That's a little interesting then. So I can read from the Power BI desktop file, but I can also write changes too, just using Tabular Editor. All right, so I can do both read and write and kind of automated scripting. So let me kind of move this over here. And then we want to go ahead and just unhide this now. So we're going to go ahead and just unhide step number 6. And then we'll notice within Tabular Editor, going to go to our orders table as a good example. I can see they're grayed out. They're hidden right now. If I right click, just do a unhide all. Working on it. Boom. They're back up in red within Tabular Editor. So I can both read from and write to. Kind of changes within the model. But let's try something again here with that best practices. This time I'm going to go back to our tools, just the best practice analyzer. Let's go ahead and get that window up here again. I'm not as concerned about seeing the underlying script. I kind of know about this rule. It's very innocent. It's not going to break my model. Maybe I just want to go ahead and apply it. So apply this fix instantly. So if I press this, apply fix, I can see they're now grayed out. I need to save those changes back to my model. So I can do Control S just up here, or press the icon, save. Seeing it now update here within Power BI. And boom, hidden. So kind of leave it up to you. Just the more comfortable you get with the best practices, obviously you can go through and just read the underlying scripting of what's going on. Maybe some of these items you don't want to have kind of updated right now. But if it's just a simple thing where you're not concerned about it, just go ahead and press the apply fix. I'll kind of leave that up to you. Awesome. So let me go ahead and hit X here. And then we'll kind of jump back over into just the section here now. Because once again, it's this rich history of analysis services, but it's also bringing this now into your business. So what are maybe some unique business rules that you can start applying just kind of to your models? So let me go ahead, go up to tools. We'll do kind of this manage BPA rules. And I'm going to go ahead and delete this one here real quick. Let's go ahead and create it again. So create model rules on this local machine. So I'm going to just create some local rules here now. Press add, create a new rule file. Yep. And let's go ahead and do new rule. So here we go. On the right-hand side here, we've got our best practices rule. I'm going to add just a name here. So disable auto time intelligence. Just copy and paste that in. Severity, I'll just go ahead and leave this as 1. Category, this is maybe more around performance. And then my description, navigate to the Power BI desktop's current file properties, paste it. Applies to obviously my model. And then this new rule, so my expression editor, I'll go and zoom in here. So just .tables.any, we'll do a name.starts with open parenthesis, double quotes, local date table, underscore, close double quotes, close parenthesis, oof, press OK, and we are done. So from here, I've now created my own unique rule within my environments that I can share with other users if I'd like. Just maybe if I'm storing this up, maybe out on like a SharePoint, we can all just connect to it, kind of thinking about that URL address. But from here, if we're thinking about like the auto time intelligence that's created within our model that creates that bloat, you can now have that rule for your organization. If you were to go back to your best practices analyzer, if you notice that someone has the disable auto time intelligence here listed as a rule violation, they can instantly just kind of come out here, be aware of that, and then go and correct that as well. So just let me pause here, kind of gather some thoughts. Rich 20-year history of analysis services, all these best practices just at your fingertips. Deepo, what do we got?
All right, so we have a couple of questions. Some of them have been answered. I'll mention them. So, the first one here, let's see, I'm scrolling back up, I can find it. How do we find out what each of these rules mean? I think you kind of covered it, but
yep. So let me go and hover above some of these, just as your, it has like the high level, but if you hover above, just at the individual kind of broken out here, it'll say disable attribute hierarchies for hidden columns, etc. It'd be the same down here, like the do not use floating data types. Hover above, it gives you the description. Cool. Next.
All right. So this question, a couple of people have asked where this recording is going to be. I'm going to post it in the Des Moines user group. If you go to meetup.com, it will be there. All right. Next question. Can you, and this is from Roger, so can you measure the impact of performance and size after the fix?
So this is the underlying metadata. It's not actually changing the actual like ingestion of data. I mean, a lot of these things are just like best practices, but it doesn't get to like engine level performance. So if you're thinking to like DAX, DAX optimizations, etc., that it does not do that. This is purely for how you should structure the model. Things that you should do, like don't do 15 decimal place precision. You should really do like 2 decimal places or up to 4 if you're kind of thinking about like overall how much cardinality can we get in the model. Like a lot of these readability, avoid camel casing on visible columns and hierarchies. Some organizations may say, you know what, we're fine with that. We're not going to have a space between any of our columns names. That is 100% your decision to make in terms of design decisions. But some of these are definitely more helpful in terms of just overall end user experience.
All right. And I think, to be fair, I think it's actually going to affect performance in a way as well. If you really sort of think about hiding maybe some of the unused columns, for example, you know, or ensuring cardinalities doesn't go crazy, type of thing could affect performance as well. So following this best practice is certainly very helpful.
Yeah, and I mean, if you have your own custom rule that you would like to create, you're fine to do so. And then just sharing those with kind of also contributing out to the GitHub. So let me jump back over here. Best practices rules. He's got everything out here to contribute. So the community is encouraged to contribute rules. If you come up with a great one, like the disable auto time intelligence issues.
That's a good one.
Disable auto time intelligence. I've already submitted it. I'm just waiting for it to go through.
That is a good one.
Yeah.
All right. Another question from Jeff. Will this work for Azure AS and SSES models? Question been answered, but touching it again.
Yes. So the underlying analysis services database engine in Power BI, obviously it's found in Power Pivot for Excel, SQL Server analysis services. If you're doing on-prem Power BI data sets, and then obviously Azure analysis services. So anything that does support kind of this JSON body, which is going to be more of the modern SSAS. I think we saw in kind of the compatibility level here. If I was to go back to this, let's do tools, manage BPA rules, rules with the local machine, new rule. You can see here minimum compatibility level of the rule set you want to have. But for the JSONs, it at least starts at 1200. If we were to kind of go back into Power BI, look at us, 1520. So we're set for the future.
All right.
Awesome.
All right, there's a question from John. He raised his hand, so I'll let him
Yeah.
go off mute.
Oh, I was just wondering about, you said that this can edit models. So we have production models in our analysis server production instance. I would assume that security would stop people from going out there and changing things on our models.
Yeah. So I mean, and if they have access to it, obviously they can connect to it. So I mean, that's the security. File open from DB. Yes. Yeah. Yep. Server address. If I wanted to connect out right now to my Power BI data set, I can go ahead and do so. It's going to use my Azure Active Directory authentication. Or if you had kind of Windows integrated. So there is security. Obviously, that's more at the database or kind of the service level.
Okay.
Sleep easy at night
right.
then, John, with that answer? Is that good?
Yeah, much better.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
All right, I believe we're caught up.
Cool. All right. Like I said, I don't want to leave anyone behind. So this is why we have these pauses. I want to make sure we kind of get you just at a good state. But today is all about rapid development. I don't want you building fast in Power BI. I want you to build blazing fast. Just how can we do things as automated, just, looking at different scripting options here as we saw within the rules. Let's go ahead and clear this out. So advanced scripting, you can obviously do Control Z to undo, Control Y to redo changes. Just if we do something here, maybe we mess it up. The underlying scripting language is C#. And I'm pausing there on C# because I know nothing about C#. But I'm a really good problem solver. So I can solve problems here now. We're going to start looking at the scripting. We're going to break these problems down just to ensure that it is kind of a readable format here for you. So to start, we're going to go back to our advanced scripting tab here over in Tabular Editor. I'm going to put my hands on the keyboard now. I'm going to type out this argument here. So I'm going to do selected period table. Awesome. So I have a little IntelliSense. So I'm going to do tab here to autocomplete table period. I see some of my different options here like add calculated column, add data column. This example, I want to add a measure. So adds a new measure to the table and returns a reference to the measure. So the arguments here are name, expression, and display folder. All right, so I want to satisfy those three. So press tab to autocomplete, press enter, because I like to just keep a little space here. And I'm going to press tab because I'm a weirdo. I just need to have things perfect. So double quotes here. I'm going to do total count of. Double quotes. Awesome. So I've got some coloring here letting me know that I'm still doing good. My concatenator within C#. So just how do I connect these two items is going to be a plus symbol. I'm going to do a selected period table period name. Comma. So my first argument just here, what is the name? Next argument, double quotes. I'm going to do count rows, open parenthesis. I'm going to actually do a single quote here now. Just in the event that my table name has a space in it, I just want to be able to have this single quote here just as a nice kind of a fail point. Double quotes again, awesome. I can see the red color. Press the plus sign as our concatenator. Selected period table period name. Do our plus symbol or double quotes, single quotes, close parenthesis, close double quotes. Whew. All right. Comma. Press enter, and then here my final argument is just what folder do I want to go ahead and store these in. I'm just going to go ahead and say measurements folder. So we'll do measurements. Then it's just a good practice here, just within C#. Go ahead and use the semicolon at the very end, just to go ahead and say I'm done with this statement. And then here now, I'm going to go ahead and select the orders table. So we're just on step number 2. I'm going to go ahead and expand this out. I'm going to go ahead and run this. Cool. So let me go ahead and delete this again here. I think I've just got a couple duplicates. Yep. So let me run this here again. Selecting the table this time. Awesome. So I see now it wrote this total count of, I selected my table, right? So table.name. The name, thinking about my Tom, is the orders. Once again, count rows of my table name, so total count of orders. If I was to go down here now into my properties pane, just in the bottom right, count rows of orders, yep. And then the folder that I'm going to store it in is my measurements folder. So total count of orders was the first argument. Second argument was my DAX expression, and then my third argument here is my measurements. Looks good. So let me go ahead and press that save. I'll deploy this now just over to my model. If I come over here to confirm, awesome. So I see my orders table, I see measurements, and I see my total count of orders. If I drop this on the canvas, it's just like I wrote a DAX measure just over in Power BI. Cool. So jumping back into our instructions, just breaking this problem down. So the .add measure, my first argument was my name, which we confirmed was the total count of orders. Second argument was my DAX expression. So my count rows of the orders table. And then just my third argument here was my display folder, which is optional. If you don't want to put it in a folder, you're fine to do so. Just kind of a good practice I want to get you in the habit of doing. All right, so knowing that this is code, there's probably some opportunity to maybe make this code a little bit more efficient and clean it up. I kind of noticed a few things here, like writing this selected.table.name. I wrote this out twice. So thinking about like variables, like over in DAX, I can use this var statement here in C#, and I'm going to create a variable. It doesn't matter what it's called. I can call it peanut butter. I can call it pineapple pizza, whatever we can kind of think of here. But I'm going to do table name equals. I'm going to do these selected dot table IntelliSense again, and then my property here. So once again, thinking about my properties down here, I want to find that name property. So name. Go ahead and double click that. Awesome. And then that good practice, like I was telling you about, is that semicolon, because we want to close this statement here. And then instead of typing this out twice, I can just point to this variable. So let me go and update this table name over here as well. I'm going to delete this here now, where you can obviously Control Z to undo. So I'm going to delete. I'm going to run the script here again. So select my orders table, press my green button or F5 if you enjoy the keyboard shortcuts. Very cool. So total count of orders now written. Maybe I could try this though over maybe multiple tables. So let's try this with both customers and employees. So I'm going to select both of them. I can hold Control or I can hold Shift, just that they're adjacent. I'm going to do this run script now. All right, what is it telling me here? It's my error. The selection contains more than one object of type table. All right, so I tried to select both customers and employees. There was two table names. It just couldn't figure it out. All right, so maybe we want to try something else then. I'm going to get rid of this just because I want that muscle memory of writing code. My advanced scripting section here, I'm going to go to my samples. I'm going to go to tutorials. And I'm going to say, let's loop through all selected tables. Awesome. All right, so I've got this for each loop now. So for each variable, I'm storing my table in my selected.tables. So just any tables that I select, go ahead and store those here within that variable. So I'm going to get rid of this green commenting. I'm not worried about it right now, just for my purposes. And then let's go ahead and type this out here once again. So we're going to do this var table name. So I want to build this muscle memory, my equals. Now I've already got the selected.tables, so it's just stored my table. So table period name. Press enter. Get to the new line, and then I'm trying to remember here. What were the three arguments that I need to satisfy with my add measure? Depot, if anyone lets me know in the chat there, what were the three arguments I need to satisfy? Or need some help from the audience?
Measure name, name argument folder. There you go.
Awesome. All right. So our first argument here is just the measure name. So we're going to do just total count of plus, and then my variable, right? So my table name that I just created above, my comma. My second argument here is my DAX expression. So I'm going to do count rows, open parentheses, single quote, double quote. Just a good practice here with that single quote, plus my concatenator table name, my plus, double quotes, single quote, close parenthesis, close double quotes, comma. And my third argument here now is my measurements. That good practice, once again, just closing out with the semicolon here for that statement. I can do it one more time here just at the very end. Now let's try this. So I've got my customers and I've got my employees. I've got them both selected here now. I'm going to do run here with my script. Awesome. So I can see here deployed this measure. So total count of customers, also total count of employees here within my employees table. Very cool. So I was able to loop through multiple items. I probably won't be doing a lot of table items though. It's probably gonna be more of my columns. So let me actually go ahead and undo this. I'm going to do Control Z. I'm going to get rid of all this because once again, I just want to build this muscle memory. I want to put my hands on the keyboard today. I'm going to go back to samples, tutorials, and we're going to do loop through all selected columns. Awesome. So we're reading through this now. I remember it's a for each loop. I'm storing any selected columns in this variable called column. Let's try this again. Get rid of this green comment. Like I said, just not worried about it for today's example. I'm going to say for the column in the table that it's stored in. So table.add measure. My arguments here. The first one was the name. So I'm going to do sum of double quotes plus my concatenator column period name, right? Comma. My measure, it's going to be my sum, open parenthesis, close double quotes to do a plus symbol here for my concatenator. I'm going to do this column dot DAX object full name. So what does that mean? So it returns the fully qualified name. So both the table name and the column name. So in this way, if I had columns that were maybe used multiple times in my data set that kind of shared that same name, so whether it be like a primary or foreign key, whatever it may be, this way I'm going to be very explicit to say this table in this column. You're here at the very end, closed parentheses, comma. I'm going to put this now in my measurements folder. Closed parenthesis here, closed semicolon, one more time. Awesome. And then let's go down to our sales order lines table. So if you like, you can use your navigation just up or down on your keyboard. You can press right to expand. Now here within the table, I can go down, I can select my quantity, my unit price, and my pick quantity. So let's do quantity, unit price, pick quantity. And let's go ahead and run this script. I see measurements. I instantly was able to deploy sum of quantity, sum of unit price, sum of pick quantity. So just 3 measures here, just in this simple click. Let's do more though. So I'm putting my hands back on the keyboard. I'm going to do column.table.add measure, open parenthesis. Instead of a sum, I'm just going to do average of double quotes plus column dot name. You're probably thinking, Alex, why didn't you create a variable? I would agree. We probably should look into a variable. Average, my next line, double quote, or I'm sorry, the open parenthesis, double quotes plus column dot DAX object full name. Alex, we probably should have created a variable. I know you're thinking about ways to improve upon this. I love it. Object full name plus double quotes, single comma. My third argument here was my measurements folder. Close that do close parenthesis, closed semicolon. I'm going to go ahead and undo this now here. So my Control Z undo. I'm going to select the quantity. I'm going to select unit price. I'm going to select my picked quantity. I'm going to go ahead and run this script here now. I instantly was able to deploy 6 different measures. So sum of quantity, average of quantity, sum of unit price, average of unit price. Just templatizing my work, kind of creating this rapid deployment here now. So if I do the save up here within the Tabular Editor, I'm going to go ahead and snap my Power BI desktop now to my left side. We're going to see our sales order lines. Press save. Measurements. Instantly deployed 6 different measures. I didn't have to wait for Power BI to do that refresh, that cycling that I can see where it just takes forever to update my model. Instantly able to deploy. Now, why I think that this is so important is because of our community. I'm going to scroll down here, script snippets. Look at all these scripts that have already been written for you. Thinking about like things like time intelligence. I'm going to go out here. I'm going to copy this script. I'm just going to paste this here. Everyone else has already created the script for me. What I need to do is just update my variable. So instead of a date table, I actually call mine a calendar. Thinking about these 6 measures that I just created. I'm going to go ahead and run this. Look at that. Instantly deployed, I don't know, 50 measures, the click of a button. So let me pause there. Thoughts? Deepa, let me know.
So there's a lot of wows, a lot of you're a madman, a lot of oh my god, I need a drink. Yeah, people are wild by this, right? It's awesome stuff. This is really good stuff. Now, do you want to take questions now, or you want to keep going?
I'll pause if someone has any questions. Like I said, I'm not here to rush anyone. We have until 3:30, so we still have about 30 minutes worth of kind of time. Obviously, we have one more group here to get through, and this is obviously one of the most important ones here with calculation groups. So I'll give everyone just a chance to breathe if you want to ask a question or come off mute. I know I see Chris with his hand raised.
Yep, go ahead, Chris.
Sure. So I posted my question in the chats. Essentially, I like this pattern, and I feel like there's something similar here. I'm looking to create measures, essentially a permutation of a certain measure where I'm passing in a filter on a certain column. So it would be calculate this measure where this column name equals value 1, and then create it again where that column name equals value 2, and iterate through the number of unique values in that column. Is there a way to generate that list of unique values to pass into it, or would those have to be known ahead of time and pass that into some sort of collection to say, here's my list, iterate through that and create these measures? Meaning, you know, as data populates through on the refresh and new unique values come in, would this be able to just generate that new measure automatically?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little stuck there just because you said as new data is like being added to the model. Wouldn't the calculate already account for that filtering of the context, or am I just not hearing it right?
No, so let's say the column name is fruits, and
Yep.
so I have apples and oranges and pears, and so what I'm looking for is a script that says, hey, create a measure that's calculate sum of quantity where fruit equals apples, and then again create measure calculate sum of quantity where fruit equals orange, and then where fruit equals pears, and then later on new data comes in where fruit equals watermelon. Would just running that same script again say, oh, hey, I now see a new unique value in that column, I will go ahead and create that measure if it doesn't exist?
No, because it doesn't read the underlying data. I mean, so this
Okay.
is purely just like the columns. I'm still a little stuck on your question just because to me, it should already be inheriting whatever new items are being added with the calculate. So, you know, if it's fruit is our column and then new data values are being added, Power BI and obviously the analysis services database engine will already know Like, hey, I'm going to calculate, so like somewhere new fruit equals, I don't know, something we can take offline, but love the question.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem at all, Chris.
All right, thank you, Chris. Nar, you have a question.
Thanks for the presentation so far.
Yeah.
I'm curious on dependencies in Tabular Editor. So if you change the name of a measure, or maybe another measure references a measure that you changed, does it handle those dependencies, and do they flow through? And for example, with like visuals that point to the old measure name and all that, how does that get handled?
No, yeah, it's not gonna be that smart in terms of like if you're scripting or anything like that. Because you're like talking about like on Power BI desktop side, if I change the name of a measure, it automatically like inherits kind of downstream, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That behavior. I would have to test, but I don't think that it would, at least on the Tabular Editor side, because this is purely just that one-time read of the code, and then really it's not until you save your changes back that it's all going to be reprocessed. Yeah.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Great question. I don't know. I'm going to test it out though. You got me curious. All right. Anything else, Deepo?
There's a question around what language you're using, and I think the question has been answered. But if you want additional clarification, please come off mute and ask the question.
Yeah. The language here for the advanced scripting is C#. I'm not a C# editor. I know nothing about the language. I just know how to read documentation. I know how to copy and paste. So what I would recommend for you is coming out here to the script snippets. So especially as you think about like DAX patterns that was just released for version 2, my intent is to come out here and take every pattern that they have and turn it into a script. So in that way you just copy and paste it. So if you want to do that, if you want to beat me to that mission, feel free. I'd be happy to copy and paste your work. But this is where I see really awesome things with just being able to leverage the community and these scripts that have been built.
Right, and the other point, the question is around, they can see DAX there obviously as well. So just the sort of the mix between C# and DAX is going to get a lot of people curious.
Yep. So C# is purely for the automation aspects within Tabular Editor. It's not necessary, obviously, for anything that's Power BI related. Cool. Great questions.
All right.
Awesome. Calculation groups. Let's move on here. So I'm seeing all these measures this year to date, this prior year, just loading up my model here now. I'm actually going to undo, so do Control Z. Just get rid of all of these. And within my table, so think about my TOM now, I'm going to do a right click. I'm going to do a create new. And I'm going to say create a calculation group. Awesome. The name of it here, I just want to go ahead and call this now just time intelligence. Obviously, the name is not important. I can call it pineapple pizza if you'd like. Press enter, press right on my navigation pane if I want to just expand this out. And then here within my name, I'm going to call this my time calculation. Once again, just not important. It's just something that helped my end users. So right-hand side here now, or you can kind of double click into it. Name, my property. I'm going to call this my time calculation. I'm going to start adding some items. So I'm going to add 3 items here now. You go do new calculation items. So just right click, alternate click if you're left-handed. New calculation item. I'm going to create another new calculation item. I'm going to create one more. Within Tabular Editor, I can go now over to my expression editor. So I'm not writing C#, I'm just going back over to DAX. I can see here my DAX formatter. Just one thing you will note right now in Tabular Editor is there is no IntelliSense for DAX. That is something that Daniel, the creator of Tabular Editor, is working on for his next major release. But just for right now, if you want to use it, DAX Studio or some other tool and just copy and paste it over here, you're fine to do so. So my first calculation, though, here in the new calculation, I'm going to go ahead and create this calculates. You can see it's blue. That's great. This argument here I'm going to pass through is my selected measure. All right, so I'm not really familiar with this one, but I'm going to do an open parenthesis, close parenthesis. So I'm not passing through any arguments. I'm going to do a dates, month to date. dates, MTD, open parenthesis. My table here is called my calendar, so I'm just use that single quote as a good practice, calendar. Square bracket here now for my date column. Square bracket close, close parenthesis, oof. Control A, Control C, copying and pasting. So let's move now to our new calculation 1. Don't let good code go to waste, so go ahead and paste it. Instead of month to date, let's go and do QTD, so quarter to date. And then my new calculation number 2 here, at the very bottom, I'm going to paste this. Instead of MTD, I'm going to change this to YTD. So I've got 3 different items here, kind of within that same variation though. So I've got month to date, maybe my quarter to date, then also year to date. So just having my time intelligence built. Now I'm going to go ahead and update these names now. So instead of new calculation, here on my right-hand side, I'm going to actually just get this updated. I'm going to call this MTD. Go down to new calculation 1. I'm going to change this now to QTD. And then my final one here, new calculation number 2, I'm going to call this YTD. MTD, QTD, and YTD. Now I'm going to do one more thing here. I want to update this format string expressions. So just whenever I write these out, just apply this formatting for me. Everything in Tabular Editor does not have to be code-based. So if you'd like, you can just go ahead and write these over here. Just know when it's time to write code. Know when you can just do it through kind of the manual processes. So I'm going to hold Shift. I'm going to select all 3 of these now. So MTD, QTD, YTD. I'm going to do a bulk update of these properties. So format string expression. I'm going to just update this now. Just double quotes. I'm going to do a money sign, my number sign, comma 0.00 for cents. Close parenthesis. You're to kind of see that here now. Double quotes, money sign, number, comma 0.00. Because I'm applying this to all 3 properties at once, as soon as I hit enter, look at month to date, look at quarter to date, look at Y to date, year to date, all 3 updated. So bulk updating, just manual process, know when to code, know when you can just kind of do it here within the editor. And then with this, we're going to go ahead and do a save. So in this way, we can see it in our Power BI model. So I'm going to get rid of this, press save. One or more calculation groups need to be manually refreshed. So once again, calculation groups are not just a Power BI premium feature. You can use these within kind of the pro. So time intelligence, I need to refresh this now. So go ahead and fill up that table here for me. Awesome. Now I'm going to go to full screen here. I'm just going to drop in a matrix visual. Use my calendar. I'm just going to use year. And let's do a month. And why not? We'll do date. So I've got 3 different levels here. Awesome. Time calculation. I'm going to add this to my columns. Just tell me, hey, you're broken here real quick. That's fine. Go now to my sales order lines, drop in total unit price. So a single measure, right? Awesome. So I was able to apply it here for year to date, quarter to date, and then obviously month to date, quarter to date, and year to date. So one measure, that selected measure, was able to apply it 3 different times. And the great things about calculation groups is it's not measure dependent. So if I got rid of total unit price, maybe this time I wanted to use sum of quantity. There we go. So month to date, quarter to date, and then obviously year to date. Instantly applied, regardless of the measure that was used, because of my selected measure here within calculation groups. Man, that's it. That's our time. So where do you go after this? Here at the very bottom of the page, your mind is racing. You're like, Alex, where do I go? Go check out these series. The creator here of Tabular Editor, he did a kind of a 4-part series over on PowerBI.tips, located over on YouTube. A lot of these things will probably go a little bit more in depth. Or if you just want to find the parts that are interesting, so maybe you're like, I really want to learn more about that advanced scripting, go watch that video. If you want to learn more about the best practices, go watch that video. In terms of the code and reusability, come down here, script snippets. Start writing your own. Learn what are the different properties. So I know we just touched on kind of the name, expression, and folder, but you can also set the format string all at once. You can set the descriptions all at once. If there are patterns down here where you just want to use them today, go ahead and copy and paste. If you want to obviously contribute community scripts out here, basic or more intermediate patterns that are already done for you. Clean object names, they've already got scripts written out for you. If it's more kind of basic ones, format all measures, hide columns on the many side, a lot of these are already done for you. And obviously some of them are a little bit more basic, but where I'm excited is thinking about the possibilities of things like the DAX patterns. They'll be stored out here for you in the community, and you just come out here and grab them, you're up and running. And then at kind of the very end, SQL BI or kind of the Microsoft Docs, if you want to learn more about calculation groups, go watch their series, go read their blog post, start applying them as soon as possible. They're just such a lifesaver. Awesome. Woof. Deepo, what do we got?
All right, that was awesome. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Question from Roger. Can we show the measure and the metrics we placed in values and show that the name of that measure in columns of metrics?
Say that again.
Hey, Roger, if you want to come off mute and dig into the question, because I'm not sure I totally understood it myself. Roger, you there?
I think it might be more just around having this measure show up, perhaps.
Yeah.
So you can do like selected measure without having the actual kind of calculation you're supposed to do. Calculation. Let's call it measure. Do selected measure.
So he's kind of clarified. He said, can we basically place those values and show it in the visual? Yes, but I'll let you do it.
Yeah. It's like right there, I just added measure so you can have it not be the total line if you don't want. So yeah, you do have that flexibility to just pass through kind of that selected measure and then not actually, having to do any calculations on it outside of whatever calculations are already being applied. Awesome. What else?
All right. I think there is no other question actually, except I'm missing anyone. If anyone has a question I've not covered, please feel free to come off mute and ask your question.
Alex,
Yeah.
Can we show the name of the measure on the visual right side, on the right after the year name? Can you see the measure name? Can we show a measure name here, which we place in the visual?
So instead of having the total row, so just like disabling the grand total, or what is it?
No, in the top of column headers. On the left of MTD, it's written measure. Can we show the name of the measure, the original name of the measure which we created?
You wouldn't be able to do that dynamically because this is just kind of that underlying metadata property. I mean, you can do like format string expressions where it's going to inherit the underlying formatting. Like in this example, we didn't apply any formatting, so it's just applying kind of numerical. But I mean, that would be something you'd probably want to look into just in terms of like the report layout and how you want to have that applied.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So Mikhail is suggesting that you can use the selected measure name. So if you want to come off mute and contribute to Mikhail, that'd be awesome as well. In case you're talking, you are on mute.
Yes, I was actually answering to a question in the chat about hiding some of the calculation items. So you can do it with another function called selected measure name, but you will need to add logic in the actual DAX expression for the measures. So for instance, if you have 10 calculations, in some cases you want to hide one or two of them, you can add the logic using this selected measure name to do it. About what Raja asked about having the actual measure besides the name, I'm not sure, but I know that for dynamic formatting, you can actually write DAX expressions in that field in Tabular Editor where you define the format string. Maybe something similar is possible in the field for the name, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
You'll have probably to ask maybe Marco Russo or guys who are very, very experienced with this stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, in terms of like the column name, once again, this is just reading a JSON body, so that wouldn't be dynamic. There's no way for it to instantly go through here and kind of update that, because that's just a static property in terms of the name.
All right.
Yeah. Woof.
Well,
all right. Well, I mean, we got 13 more minutes. I'll hang out here if anybody wants to kind of come off mute. We can stop recording. Just let you kind of say whatever you want, man.
Well, we want to say thank you, first of all, for coming here to the Moines user group and educating the folks of Iowa. So we're appreciative of it. And hopefully we will get you back here again to come contribute. So thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stop the recording. So anyone who wants to sort of come off mute and ask questions, feel free.